Floods are the number one cause of weather-related deaths in the United States. Flooding has accounted for nearly half of all weather-related disasters worldwide since 1995 and has killed an estimated 157,000 people and affected some 2.3 billion others. That's 1/3 of the planet. In July 1931, 3.7 million people died due to major floods in China alone. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the NOAA, two key factors that lead to flooding are the intensity of the rainfall and its duration. For this reason, most flooding is caused by slow-moving thunderstorms, or thunderstorms that move repeatedly over the same area, or heavy rains from hurricanes and tropical storms. One example is in 2010, intense rainfall led to the Arkansas flash flooding. The Little Missouri River rose quickly overnight, sometimes faster than 2.4 meters an hour, or 8 feet an hour, killing 20 people. However, floods aren't solely caused by rain. A dam or levee failure, or a sudden release of water held by an ice jam can also unleash a flood. In 1972, there were 555 deaths in the US due to flooding alone. Partly due to thunderstorms, however, that year, a dam broke in West Virginia, killing 125 people, and Hurricane Agnes killed 50 people in Pennsylvania. Another factor to take into account is the topography of a region. The soil conditions and ground cover also play roles in the frequency and intensity of flooding. In all seriousness, floods are incredibly powerful, lifting boulders, trees, houses, cars, sweeping away anything in its path. People underestimate this, and that's why, according to the NOAA, almost half of flood-related fatalities involve cars in some way or another. Scientists say it only takes 46 centimeters or 18 inches of water to float a typical vehicle, and it only takes 60 centimeters or 2 feet of flowing water to sweep most vehicles downstream. Floods occur in the most obvious areas, such as along rivers or coastlines especially. Rivers flood when the quantity of water is too much to contain within the banks and the land beneath can't soak enough up, whereas coastline flooding can be especially frightening, often down to hurricanes, tropical storms or tsunamis. These are often the most deadly. The excess water from floods can travel kilometers from its initial area, and this is especially true in urban areas where concrete and tarmac prevents the natural absorption of water into the soil, thus draining water slower and creating rivers in busy streets. When we say floods, we think of damage to property, houses or cars and loss of life, but floods kill long after they've gone. Going back to the deadliest flood in history, the 1931 flood in China, there was an intense outbreak of illnesses with waterborne diseases, overcrowding and a lack of food following the flood. Floods cost hundreds of billions of dollars of damage worldwide every year. They disrupt industry, people are forced to leave their homes, communication links, power plants, roads, bridges are damaged. Normal life is disrupted. Disruption to industry leads to loss of livelihoods. Infrastructure damage has long-term impacts on clean water, wastewater treatment, electricity, transport, communication, trade, education, healthcare, and so on. Loss of livelihood means reduction in purchasing power as well, leaving towns, villages, cities economically vulnerable. This long list could be made longer should we go into the trauma that people suffering from these floods go through. It can have long-lasting psychological impacts, as with many other natural disasters. We obviously cannot talk about floods without mentioning climate change. Global warming is causing the number of floods per year to rise massively. One example is in rainfall. As with temperatures rise, the air holds more moisture, rainfall becomes less frequent, creating droughts. At some point, the skies release their moisture into a torrential downpour. That creates floods. Instead of soaking into the ground, the water runs on hard-packed earth that has dried out during the drought. Along the shoreline, for example, rising sea levels are making floods worse. In Miami, Florida, the ocean floods the streets during high tide. To end this video, I'd like to look at the positive aspects of floods. There are a few, but there are some. Floods inundate wetlands. With fresh waste, they also carry and deposit nutrient-rich sediments that support both plant and animal life in these wetlands. In addition, flooding adds nutrients to lakes and streams that help support healthy fisheries. Furthermore, soil deposited by floodwaters prevents erosion and helps maintain the elevation of land masses above sea level. I would like to finish on that somewhat positive note and thank you very much for watching. Don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel and click the little bell to always be first to hear when I bring out new content. Until the next video, thanks for watching.